Welcome back to In Depth with Academia. I'm Richard Price, CEO of academia.edu, and today I've got something, I don't know, kind of big, kind of different, definitely one of those think about life for a while afterward episodes, you know what I mean? Today we're exploring the research monograph From Darkness to Liberation by Suresh Kumar Soni, also writing under the pen name Kaivalya. And just before we dive in, I always want to be super clear. I'm presenting this paper, not advocating every claim. Academic work's about questioning, reflecting, exploring, not just swallowing ideas whole, right? And Suresh Soni is a thinker who really pushes the reader, sometimes prodding, sometimes almost whispering, "Hey, are you sure you know what life's about?" No, Suresh, not really, but go on. So, what's at stake in this piece? Well, Soni asked the question, maybe the question, why do we have instruction manuals for literally every object in modern life, your car, phone, TV, but when it comes to the absolute hardest, most mysterious thing, living an actual human life, no manual, nada, not even a FAQ, how are we supposed to live? What gives life meaning? Is there any way to navigate all the darkness, confusion, and noise? Suresh Soni basically sets out to draft a first attempt at what he calls a universal manual of human life and living. And let me say, he's not shy about the scale here. It's not my 10 rules to happiness. It's more, let's weave together the Vedas and Buddhism and Western existentialism and social critique and, I don't know, re-examine the existence of the soul while we're at it. Wild stuff, but at its core, the project's actually super practical. How do we be, good humans in a complex world? All right, key findings. Let's untangle his approach. Soni's writings, spanning poetry, philosophy, biography, and social commentary, all play on the tension between darkness, Kali, as in ignorance, time, the cosmic unknown, and liberation, Kaivalya, clarity, consciousness, that big aha moment of true understanding. He wants us to see that being spiritual doesn't mean retreating from the world. No, it's about engagement, about living in society actively and ethically, not running off to a cave with a bag of rice and a copy of the Upanishads. He actually draws heavily on both Vedanta, think deep unity of all things, search for self-realization, and Buddhism, with its focus on impermanence, letting go of rigid selfhood, opening up to mystery. But here's the neat trick. He doesn't just camp out in the East. Soni brings in Western voices, Sartre, Heidegger, Descartes, and builds a bridge. He wants philosophy to be, cosmopolitan, not parochial. Also, can I just say, a digression. Sometimes when I hear the phrase spirituality beyond religion, I picture people sitting around in tie-dye shirts talking about cosmic energy, but there's real rigor in Soni's effort. Accessibility, sure, but always returning to ethical questions, social reform, public engagement. Anyway, methods. From Darkness to Liberation isn't an empirical study or a strictly traditional philosophical treatise. It's more like a guided tour. Soni uses poetry, like in his Random Rhythms collection, to capture fleeting glimpses of identity, love, mortality. He builds up, in his Life and Living trilogy, a kind of scaffolding. Who are we? What gives life purpose? How do we balance responsibility with freedom, and why we just can't dodge the big questions of consciousness or the existence of souls, even if science or tradition says, hush, don't ask. And in maybe his most controversial move, Soni says, organized religion, useful as it's been, now just fragments us. It's time to move past dogma to a universal open spirituality. Not anti-faith, but pro-experience, pro-inclusivity, pro-questioning. His book, A Religionless World, caught a lot of attention for exactly that. He sees spirituality as lived and shared, not monopolized by priests or tradition, and, quite impressively, he waived copyright on all his writing. He really lives out wisdom as a gift, not a possession. That's rare. What does this mean for you, listening right now? Soni doesn't claim final answers. He's not rolling out a new world religion. No, he's inviting us to engage, reflect, keep exploring. The message is, life's mystery isn't a problem to solve, but an invitation to grow. Philosophy, poetry, critique, they're tools. The universal manual idea, it's not done, it's not even fully started, it's actually a work in progress every day in your life and mine. But was everyone convinced? Not at all. Reader responses ranged from, this needed to be said, hallelujah, to, hang on, isn't community what we lose if we ditch religion? There's dialogue, agreement, skepticism, lively debate. That feels very human, doesn't it? Soni's achievement, if you want to call it that, maybe less in the answers and more in the questions. He helps us keep alive. So from darkness to liberation isn't a doctrine. It's a nudge, maybe a pretty big nudge, to grapple with life's mystery, root our spirituality in experience, not dogma, live with more responsibility, and my favorite bit, stay absolutely open to the next question. That's it for today on In Depth with Academia. I hope you're leaving with a few more questions than answers. That's healthy, right? And remember, research like this isn't absolute truth. It's just a well-lit step on the road. Explore, reflect, read widely, and hey, maybe write your own manual someday. Until next time, I'm Richard Price. Thanks for journeying through the dark and toward liberation with me.